What's going on, ladies and gents? Jake, aka Countdown Ended, coming back to you again to bring you a little bit of a different video today. That's right. I want to know, is The Rock guilty of ruining WrestleMania 41? And of course, I'm not alone. I'm being joined by the co-host of Into Somewhere Weekly, my good friend, Mr. Wrestling himself, Cody. How you doing, my good man?
Doing great. Can't wait to get into this because I know somebody is full of shit in the WWE. Is it Triple H? Is it The Rock? Is it John Cena? Is it Cody Rhodes? You never know. Because Cody Rhodes is out here claiming to be a politician sometimes. You know, who's the real liar in this whole fiasco?
Exactly. So we're going to go through the evidence, take some testimonials, go over some quotes from other, former talent in the business, legends themselves, and see what everybody has to say and kind of break it all down. But our story here begins all the way back in 2022, April 2nd to be exact. This was the night that Cody Rhodes re-debuted in the WWE at WrestleMania. He came out as a surprise opponent for Seth Rollins. He made his triumphant return. The woe got over, and we started the road to him finishing his story. You see, his dad had won the title in Madison Square Garden, but due to the outcome, he wasn't actually the champion. He had just won the match. The belt was taken away. So he never got to win the big one, and that's always been Cody's dream, his goal, to hold the belt that his father never did high above his head, and especially to do it at WrestleMania. And Cody spends the next few months feuding with Seth. He has that terrible pec injury, and finally he makes his triumphant return just in time for the Royal Rumble. And what does he do? He wins it. He goes all the way through, survives, and he goes to WrestleMania 39. And in the main event, against Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa comes out. He's the difference maker. Cody loses. That's right. And we didn't know what was going to happen. Would Cody be able to be triumphant down the road? Would he pick himself up, dust himself off, and keep fighting? Well,
people question, is that really it for him? Is that really the whole
Is he buried? Is he done for? Is this the ending? You're absolutely right. And we weren't sure. It was up in the air. It was a little tumultuous. But we still had faith in our hero, Cody. And that's when Cody, he feuds with Brock. He has these great matches throughout the next year, all the way until the Royal Rumble. That's right. Cody goes ahead and he wins back-to-back the Royal Rumble again in 2024 to go on.
From number 30, where he returned, right?
Right.
He suffered that torn pec.
That was the one before. Yeah, exactly. So now he's come back from the pec the first time. Now he's doing it again. He's back to back. He is the man. The show's about to close. He points at the WrestleMania sign. He points at Roman. He makes it known. This is his decision. This is what he's doing. He's gonna face Roman Reigns. And this is where we get to the start of our story. As now, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson comes flouncing in. He brings his ego behind him through the door of WWE because now, with the TKO purchase of WWE and the merger of WWE and UFC under the TKO umbrella, they were able to hire The Rock on the board, paid him a glorious amount of money for him to also get the Rock name back. And he went ahead and now sits on the board of TKO. And this is when The Rock decided to insert his muscle originally, and he took away Cody Rhodes' main event match against Roman Reigns. Now, the match between Roman and Rock had been kind of a thing of magic and mystery. Everybody wanted it. Everybody expected it. But it never came to be. It never came to fruition. And this seemed to be the first time that we were going to get that match. It just wasn't Rock's time. It was Cody's time. And that leads us into our first bit of evidence here, as you see on our board. We go ahead and we have the proud Cody crybabies. The fans revolt. The most dislikes ever on a YouTube video of when Cody is out there on SmackDown. The Rock interrupts, and Cody basically says, I will fight you, Roman, but now is not my time. He shakes The Rock's hand, kind of gives him a unsettled look. A bit of a glance into the camera where you can see Cody's disappointment written all over his face. He saunters to the back, and the Rock and Roman now are going to be facing each other at WrestleMania for the title. I was shocked. I was angry. How did you feel when you heard about all this?
I got it at the time. I had mixed emotions because I was like, I guess you can make an argument it was never Cody Rhodes' story to dethrone Roman Reigns for the championship, because there was other contenders like Jey Uso or the biggest and most famous person in their family, The Rock.
Absolutely.
I guess you had arguments for them, but The Rock was nowhere to be found until that Royal Rumble win of Cody Rhodes, and so
exactly.
It didn't make sense anymore, because if The Rock was going to have this match against Roman Reigns, he should have won the Rumble. He should have been in the Rumble, but you just don't get championship matches just because of who you are.
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, not at all. And the fans revolted. They were angry. The Rock called them Cody crybabies as he started to turn heel and use this momentum for himself rather than go against it.
Or last year's storyline ended up being a great thing, because the final boss, maybe it's just recency bias, is probably the best version of The Rock we've ever had. Oh,
absolutely. I agree. He was very charismatic, enigmatic, controlling. He was a downright bastard.
Online video promos on Twitter he was doing, like, it was all fucking great.
Every week, he had multiple Instagram and Twitter videos and posts, and he was promoting and building. So we end up getting, from the Cody Crybaby response, over 300,000 dislikes on the YouTube video from WWE where they announced that The Rock would take Cody Rhodes' spot at WrestleMania. The fans were not going to have it. And much like they hijacked at WrestleMania 30 for Daniel Bryan, they're essentially doing the same here.
And The Rock tried to play it off because people were complaining about it, but like he edited out like the part people were complaining about and just doing the, oh my God, it's The Rock. Like, I know he posted that on his Instagram, the streamers, the wrestling streamers. He did like Con Man's, Santi Zap.
Yes.
Like he did all of theirs because they didn't like the idea either. But he left out the parts where they were complaining and just the shock factor of The Rock being there.
The wow, the oh my God, I can't believe The Rock and Roman, it's finally going to happen.
He was trying to twist the media, like the IWC's words.
Yes.
Just to fit his own agenda because he has a big ego.
And The Rock's a great businessman. He's great at PR. He knows what he's doing and how 100%. To spin things. So he was trying to make the excitement there. But fans, he did. He knows how to promote. And that's kind of the thing I wanted to really enunciate and hit home this point here, is that The Rock learned from Vince, and he and Triple H never really saw eye to eye. And at this point in time, of course, after Cody's second win is when Triple H has been running the company for a bit. Yep. He's in control
I've always heard about
creative.
The stories, though, too, about Triple H and The Rock, even back in the Attitude Era, never really
The Rock
liking each other.
The Rock and Shawn Michaels, there was a lot of bad blood, pun intended there. And those two never got along. Him and Hunter, they didn't have that same issue, but they also lacked the mutual respect for one another as well. Right. So we end up having a press conference, and they kind of tip things on their head for the fans. Now we're seeing Cody slap The Rock. We're getting the final boss. This is a slow burn heel turn of The Rock, and it's on. Now we know it's going to be tribal combat the first night, or the trial for tribal combat, so they want to see that if The Rock and Roman win, it'll be tribal combat. Yes. And,
if we win, it'll be bloodline rules.
Cody gets himself a partner in Seth Rollins. They go ahead and they try to stop The Rock and Roman, but alas, the heels are just too powerful. They outnumber the faces, and they lose, making night 2 tribal combat, anything goes. And from here, we go ahead and get probably one of the best at least in the last decade, endings to WrestleMania. And we had this sort of Avengers Assemble moment. You know, we got John Cena and The Undertaker, Seth Rollins, all these people coming out to help Cody, one by one, getting taken out by other members. And it all comes down to Cody pinning Roman. Roman had a 1,000+ day, multi-year title reign that was finally usurped and defeated. Cody Rhodes did it. He finished his story. Samantha could barely speak. She was so emotional to announce him as our new champion. But alas,
it was a great moment.
It was. But something was amiss. Something with The Rock. The Rock was not happy. Was he angry that he lost his match at Mania? Was he angry at the fans? We were unsure. And the Raw after WrestleMania 40, we first have a nice celebration of Cody with Triple H, and then he's talking to the fans one-on-one, and the final boss comes out. And he says he's not the final boss there, he's just The Rock. They do this awkward bit where The Rock, again, placating to his own ego, carrying around the People's Championship belt that he was gifted to from Muhammad Ali's wife at the Hall of Fame that night before WrestleMania. They trade belts. Again, very awkward, very tense. And then when they hand each other's belt back, The Rock leans forward and he puts something in Cody's hand. Something that we don't know what it is, but he said, Cody, you know what this is? Don't break my heart again, and I'll see you soon enough.
There was always speculation about that. What was it? Was that because I remember Cody Rhodes' bus caught on fire a few days prior to that, right?
Yes.
So we were making speculations and just fantasy booking. Did The Rock set his bus on fire?
We really didn't know if it was a real thing, or was it in universe? Was it a storyline? Was it serious? So it ends up being, no, that actually happened. Everybody's okay. It's not a storyline. And then we hear nothing from The Rock for months and months and months. Cody goes on to defeat a plethora of faces and heels, continuing his amazing title reign. And we get all the way until October. Cody has taken down so many men in WWE, had great rivalries with AJ Styles, and Solo Sikoa, him and Brock before, all of it. Cody's a champion holding the belt high, and Roman returns as a face. And unfortunately, Roman is not the tribal chief anymore. Just as Cody predicted, Roman's alone and he needs help. So Roman now needs to stop the new bloodline, and Cody's getting attacked by them as well. So they have a common agreement with a mutual enemy. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So Cody teams with the newly returned Roman Reigns, and they defeat.
Who just randomly became a good guy, by the way.
Exactly. He did not turn by any of his own accord. The fans missed him, and when he came back, they cheered him. Simple as that. Roman never apologized. Exactly. And
the same Roman, but just teams with good guys instead of bad guys.
He's doing it for the right reasons. He was doing it for the wrong ones before. So Roman and Cody, they go ahead in a tag match. They defeat Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa at Bad Blood. And as they're celebrating, a hush comes over the crowd as a Titantron shows the electricity start to crackle for the entrance of the final boss. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson comes out.
And the music,
right? He takes
a botch, right? Because everything else came on before the music, right?
Yes.
I remember.
And, this is the main event right now, the main event of this entire night. And it didn't feel like the main event until The Rock came out, because we said, oh, wow, what is going to happen? And The Rock counts 1, 2, 3. And we see him count.
Did the little John Cena kind of.
We get the 3.
Oh, in which we thought when Cena turned heel, but we'll get back to that.
We'll get
later.
there, but people were upset because The Rock again took from someone. He took from Punk yet again, just like he did all those years back at WrestleMania's 29, when he, took The Rock's title and went to go face John Cena. Took Punk's title, excuse me. Punk and...
Because that's another thing.
Yeah.
Punk and Drew should have been the main event of that
They
show.
absolutely should have been the main event. In a Hell in a Cell, CM Punk, had made his return to the WWE. He wrestled in the Royal Rumble, got injured, and was out for months and months. Now, he was always prevalent in our minds. He was on TV.
Because
He
CM
was
Punk's a
getting
hard worker,
involved.
because he would still do stuff while being injured.
Exactly. He screwed
dedication
Drew over at
CM Punk has.
WrestleMania. Drew wins the title, doesn't even hold it for 5 minutes because his ego it knows no bounds either. Drew's celebrating in front of
He
Punk.
wanted to go rub it in CM Punk's face. And
Yep. Punk attacks just in time for Damian Priest to cash in. Drew loses his newly won title, and that kicks off the best feud of 2024. They face each other at SummerSlam. They have a strap match, which is great at Night of Champions, and then we go to Bad Blood, and they are the
they have
opener.
chemistry, too.
They really do, and they have the best Hell in a Cell match in a very long time, if not
In
ever.
years.
If not
It
ever.
could be ever.
I mean, for the
only
type
one
of match
that
we
you can
got.
argue is Undertaker and Mankind.
And that was different because that wasn't well wrestled. That wasn't a match. That was a spectacle. As far as matches go and fighting inside the Hell in a Cell,
Ring-wise, yeah.
it
I
didn't
would
lead
say.
to some major stunt where they both got thrown off the top or through the cage. They had sickening bumps throughout with the toolbox, with the stairs, no doubt, but they kept it in the Hell in a Cell. They used it as a chamber to keep themselves contained. No one else could get to them, and they could finish each other
Which
off.
I think for the most part it should be, because the inside of the cell banging, and it should. That's the weapon.
Exactly.
Kinda.
So The Rock took from them. He took
Just
the
the
main
fucking
event
pose.
just to stand there. But don't worry, it's all part of his plan, we keep hearing. Long-term
He's a long
storytelling. He has a plan. Now, we don't see The Rock
Plan
for the
my
rest. Exactly. We don't see The Rock for the rest of 2024. The Raw debut on Netflix, January 6, 2025. Face Rock comes out to open the show, basically, and he delivers a very long-winded promo that feigns respect for Cody. You know, they're going to be Terramana and Tequila drinking buddies in the back, and he loves Cody, and he puts Cody over, and it's very bizarre, and it's clunky, and it's difficult to get through, because not only is The Rock not making a ton of sense, and he's trailing off, as I said before,
We're all just like,
long-winded.
what the fuck happened now?
It didn't make an iota of fucking sense at all whatsoever. We were all clueless seeing The Rock be friends with Cody after he tried to kill him by his tour bus the year before heading into WrestleMania, swearing like a sailor, calling everybody
Cody
motherfuckers.
Rhodes was just like, yeah, all forgiven, buddy.
It's okay. This is great. So now we knew this was weird. We see them exchange tequila shots backstage, and then The Rock drives off to get him DUI. And now we hear The Rock's going to be at NXT the next night. So the next night comes, and we see The Rock in the back with NXT general manager Ava, also The Rock's daughter. And she basically gives him advice after he says, I don't know what I'm going to say. And she says, Dad, speak from the heart. That's all you have to do. So The Rock, with no plan, no promo set in his mind, he goes out on NXT and he wastes time. Yes, it popped a rating. They did almost 1 million. That was the week of the LA Fires. You know, he was there and he tried to be exciting, but it was awkward.
That happened, right?
Yes,
Fires.
it was very awkward. It was very off-putting. And again, The Rock is telling us to our faces, just hang on. I'm going to take you for a ride. I'm going to go ahead. That's right. I just be patient. This is long-term storytelling.
Shut the fuck up. Be patient. Like, he was dropping a bunch of F-bombs.
Exactly. He was berating the fans and telling us to stop questioning him being. How could you be nice to Cody? How could you be friends with Cody? He said,
Like,
don't worry about it.
Don't be mean to Cody. You can't be mean to Cody. And this year, don't be nice to Cody. You can't be nice to.
Exactly. So he's making these statements, and it all feels foolish because why are you being nice to Cody? We don't get it. But he says, I'm going to head to SmackDown to make a proposal to Cody, and I'm going to get my answer at the Elimination Chamber. So now We're kind of unsure as to where this is going, but people are optimistic. They're eager to see where their tribal chief takes them. You know, it's like, you are the real tribal chief, aren't you, Rock? You're the real leader. You're the real head of the table. You should have always been the tribal chief because you are in charge, figuratively and literally. So where would the true tribal chief take us? Well, he takes us to SmackDown. And he goes out and he calls out Cody and they go face to face. And again, the People's Champ delivers a wonky, clunky, awkward promo that ends with him saying that I don't want you to be just my champion. I want your soul. The entire audience is perplexed.
Like, okay.
No one knows what's going on.
Like, after the soul thing, then they're like, maybe that makes sense why he was being nice to Cody Rhodes on the Raw January 6th episode.
Yeah, we're trying to put pieces together. Okay. Exactly. We're trying to piece it together ourselves, but the narrative is not great. Things don't fit, or we're missing puzzle pieces in between.
That was another awkward promo, because then I was like, okay, what's happening to The Rock? Because last year's final boss was fucking killing it. This year's final boss is giving me the heebie-jeebies.
Absolutely, it's just a bad vibe, and it's not fun to watch. And the whole time you're remembering, all right, well, The Rock can just usurp anyone, and take anybody's spot. He can do as he needs. So this just feels very heavy-handed. And we get to the Elimination Chamber. Baz is there. They put the chamber in the dome. We got the chamber. And
in the dome?
In the dome in Toronto. And Rock comes out after Travis Scott makes his entrance to the arena. And this is after John Cena enters, doesn't qualify for, and wins the Elimination Chamber. It came down to him and Punk, and Seth Rollins, after already being eliminated, stomps Punk, and it leads to John putting on the STFU. Punk passes out.
And looking back at that, you could see maybe there was something planted because they had a plan, because John Cena's, unless you want to talk about the next part first, then we'll
no, continue. Yeah.
How it transpired. So like when Cena came out for his entrance, he did this, then he did like a evil look to the camera, then went back to his usual.
Yes, he was kind of flippant. Exactly. So now
he had there was little Easter eggs in the match, where he was just doing those facial expressions, how quickly it would change.
Absolutely.
But you didn't catch on until after what we're about to get into.
So Cena and Rock embrace, and they're going to face each other in the main event of WrestleMania. John's excited. Cody's excited. That's his former mentor, his former, road buddy. He used to drive for John all over from town to town, trying to learn anything he could off of Cena. So with The Rock and Travis Scott and Cena in the ring, they approach Cody, and they go ahead, and The Rock asks for his answer. Can I have your soul? And Cody, after explaining his reason why, tells The Rock, you cannot, because my soul belongs to all these people. Rock, go fuck yourself.
And, Cena was being his typical self. Yeah.
Celebrating, encouraging. Damn straight, you tell him who's boss. And as John and Cody embrace, The Rock looks over,
cut through, then
slits his neck, and gives a 1, 2, 3.
Cena's face went.
Cena's expression goes from happy to complete militant,
soulless,
blank, soulless expression. Just he attacks Cody by kicking him in the balls, and the three of them go on to whip, strike, and damage Cody, with Travis Scott blowing out his eardrum.
Of all time.
Could be, if not one of the best, the best. At this point in time, when it happened, it was so exciting. It transcended wrestling.
You were texting each other, holy shit.
Everyone was going nuts. People that gave up on wrestling decades ago came back to see this because they could not believe that John Cena, Mr. Make-A-Wish.
Company was talking about it. Like I saw NFL tweet something about it. MLB, like my favorite team, the Mets, how the mighty have fallen.
Everybody got involved. Like I said, it truly transcended wrestling. It approached the zeitgeist of popular entertainment, and it just broke through Hollywood and went everywhere. Everyone wanted to see Why John
All the
turned.
talk shows were talking about it. It was fucking great. They had something great cooking.
So now, as we know and how everything played out, John comes out 2 weeks, actually 3 technically, after the turn. For 2 weeks, we got nothing.
3.
On the 3rd week, John comes out, makes a very pretty abysmal "you people" promo. It wasn't bad, but the explanation was abysmal. Suddenly now he hates the fans for the toxic relationship that he's had with them for all these years. He's given them everything, and they've just berated and shit on him. And that's going to be the build.
Fine the first week, which was fine the first week, I think, because that you had to address the fans first, I feel.
You could have addressed them, but with The Rock. I mean, there were so many questions.
Yes, but Cena had to do what he could with it, I guess, because
as we know now, the build would finish. John would go on to beat Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41, and The Rock is not seen again once during or after the entire build to WrestleMania 41, following him being there for John Cena's heel turn, arguably one of the biggest in the company. The Rock is nowhere to be found. So we go, like I said, weeks and weeks, and we get no Rock, no explanation as to why The Rock forced or helped John turn. What was the catalyst? What was the reason? Why, John? Why did The Rock help you turn? What was it about The Rock being there and giving you that signal that made you flip?
It made no sense whatsoever, because we were questioning, how can the story continue without Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson being there? Because he's the centerpiece of this storyline. He's the reason why the storyline needs to happen, and there's no way the storyline can make fucking sense without the fucking guy there.
Exactly. Now,
and CM Punk's promo, that means nothing. Remember that promo after Elimination Chamber? Fucking beautiful promo.
Great.
Worthless now, because he was cutting a promo on John Cena and The Rock because we all thought they were in cahoots together, right?
Calling Dwayne a bald fraud, making fun of his goosebumps, and the CM Punk so impassioned. One of the best promos he cut all year. And like you said, it means nothing now.
Cena, you're gonna make a wish that
just stellar. You're gonna be making a wish to survive, something like that. But yeah, it was stellar from Punk.
Fucking beautiful, but the promo means nothing now.
We get to WrestleMania 41, and during the match between John and Cody, we hear Travis Scott's music play, and we assume, just like last time, that after Travis comes out, The Rock will be right behind. But alas, that's not what happened.
That's how it happened at Elimination Chamber, so that's what you were thinking.
The fans are breaking their necks, turning so hard to look down the entranceway, thinking The Rock is coming.
Cena was doing this evil laugh,
like you're screwed now.
Rhodes right where he wants him.
Yep, you're fucked now. And you can't take 140-pound rapper Travis Scott as a serious, credible threat to Cody in any way.
That was Cena's big mastermind plan he had, Travis Scott.
That was his helper.
That was his help.
Yep, Cena now looks like a fool as he sat there cackling on the ring. Both men stop attacking each other and just seemingly wait for Travis Scott to do his fucking whole entrance.
My idea would have been a lot better, and it would have made a lot more sense. Mm-hmm. We could have had something a lot more easier and a lot better. You could have had Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, and Braun Breaker. You could have had that ending that they did. You could have made WrestleMania Night 2 chaos, because Roman could have returned his favor for Cody Rhodes for helping him with his family and helping Cody Rhodes try to keep the title, to keep it away from Cena.
Yeah.
Punk called out Cena. So that would have made sense too. He would want Cody Rhodes, his friend, to have it.
Yeah.
And then you could have Seth and Braun do the attacking then.
There's so many ways it could have. You could have never, if you never included The Rock, it would have been perfect, because the plan was, and as we'll get into later more, for Cena to turn heel at Mania, not
and that
at the Elimination Chamber.
Turn heel at Mania, then because Night 1's ending, Seth and Paul were walking out together. That's why I'm saying the end of Raw after Mania's ending could have been Night 2's ending, where Seth, Paul, and Braun were all in alliance with Cena. Cena turning heel, and they're all standing tall together. That would have been
The Rock set up massive expectations that no one in their mind could deliver on. And that was the big problem that it took away from the main event of WrestleMania 41. So now Travis Scott helped Cena.
Night 2 main event.
Right. Travis Scott helped Cena achieve his goal of achieving 17 title reigns in WWE. He beats Ric Flair's record. He is now the greatest champ of all time, according to the record books. And it's hard to argue against it. You know, Cena is great. But had we had the heel turn that night, as we were supposed to, it would have been a WrestleMania to remember. Remember how you felt, how we all felt, leaving the chamber, the shock, the joy, the passion being there again. Everybody couldn't wait to see what happened next. Now, no one really cared. Cena won, and it felt flat. It felt anticlimactic. So now, after WrestleMania 41 concludes, The Rock ends up going on Pat McAfee's show to clear his name and explain his reasoning. And he goes on to say, and we'll go back through this now, but as we look through all the timeline and the evidence, The Rock now says that he could have been involved in WrestleMania 41's finish, but he wanted the spotlight to be on John and his 17th title reign. He says
because the respect he has for John and stuff. All that,
which again,
all the time, blah, blah, blah.
It made no sense. Why did he turn? Why did John Cena turn with and for The Rock? As we said, it made no sense.
Because it was about the soul. It was about the soul. Then it's like, because The Rock's press conference, he was basically saying that him and John Cena were in cahoots this whole fucking time.
Exactly. Like, so The Rock's trying to lay it on to us that this is long-term storytelling, that this John Cena turning has been the plan the entire time. And they've been doing this. That was
what it meant?
Since the chamber. Exactly. So now The Rock says when it came up to the chamber that the TKO CEO, Ari Emanuel, calls him, saying that ticket sales were very slow and he wanted something must-see at the chamber. So can you help me to sell tickets? And now is when The Rock basically, he admits a few things and he messes up and he breaks apart his own timeline. He says that he wants to see Cody eventually turn heel because of how smart he is. But he pitched...
And why are we saying Cody Rhodes will turn heel eventually?
Right. So he pitched Cody selling his soul, and according to The Rock directly, Triple H decided to go with Cena. Anyone who had a say that wasn't The Rock went against turning Cody Rhodes heel. Why? Because the majority of the fan base loves Cody. You finally had a face that was more over than John Cena was. That's why Cena was not replaced for all those years.
For Cena to turn heel because Cena's jealous of this. Because
Cena had so many simple, easy explanations, or you could have went very in depth with it. But on a surface level, John was too enthralled and motivated with getting that 17th title, and he would do whatever it takes, and he couldn't put Cody down. He kept trying at me, he kept trying, but alas, he had to cheat to do it and turning heel to get what he thought was best for business. Instead, we get a Travis Scott interference and Cody gets taken out faster than any match he's been in before. Cody has suffered more damage and punishment than most and still be able to kick out. But a title hit from John Cena was just too much. So The Rock continues saying that, he had to be at the chamber and he needed to be there because he had to push tickets and make it must-see. And he understands that when people saw Travis Scott, that they would think that he's coming out. And that's why The Rock says, I would have adjusted it. I would have finessed things a little more. I wouldn't have done it that way. He said that he thought the work of the final boss is done and said, like the finish, I would have gotten there differently, but The Rock's final boss was done.
I'm using the three of them because Triple H is head of creative, and John Cena and Cody Rhodes have creative freedom. So what the fuck were Cody Rhodes, John Cena, and Triple H supposed to do without The Rock being a part of the storyline?
And it makes more sense as to why we got what we got. They couldn't do anything. The Rock was at home watching Mania. He puts up a post saying that, he's in Maui, blah, blah, blah. So everyone thinks it's just like every wrestler does. Like Jordan Grace saying she's not at the Rumble. She's with her mom for her birthday. And there she is. All wrestlers do that little tongue-in-cheek, hey, I'm not really there, but I am. But The Rock didn't advertise Mania at all. He didn't promote WrestleMania. He did no videos online, like you said, no Instagram videos, no tweets, nothing. He was home, and he literally was home because he was calling in to the Pat McAfee show to push his ego.
And like the night Cena was there, you could have like made it easy, like Cena on a phone call with The Rock telling him, like just giving him some advice on the phone and all this, like what to do with, like hire some help for Cena, like better help. That's why I'm saying they could have done that Raw after Mania ending at the end of night 2
Absolutely.
of WrestleMania. That would have made perfect sense. Cena's alliances were Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, and Braun Breaker, and then you could have had Roman and Punk wanting revenge on Paul and Seth, and Punk wants revenge on Cena, and yeah, it would have made a lot better of sense.
So The Rock
and
was
Roman's returning a favor for Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, he was in Atlanta for Bad Blood. That's the only reason. He wanted to be there. He wanted to come out. It wasn't previously advertised. It wasn't to tell a story. He kept saying, just wait, we have things to do. But really, it meant fuck all. It was just The Rock wanting to be on TV so that later on, if he decided to come back, he could again keep going with whatever story he decided it was at that time. Him coming out and doing the cutthroat in the 3, everyone thought it meant, well, Cody, I beat you. I pinned you 1, 2, 3 at, night 1 of WrestleMania last year. So this year, I'm going to take your title. We thought we were initially getting The Rock involved in a match at the very least. And, we went ahead and we heard from The Rock himself that Ari Emanuel said, I need you to do something to help boost ticket sales. He said, and this is The Rock's quote, he said, well, let me give it some thought and I'll get back to you. So I gave it some thought. I got back to Ari. I got back to Triple H and Nick, and we had a call. I said, and I have an idea. What's most important to the final boss? The most important thing, it's not titles. It isn't money. It's not fame. He said, I want your soul. So that's how they started this soul angle, because he had to come up with a storyline on the spot, showing that he had no plan with any stories following Bad Blood. So he took away the main event from CM Punk and Drew McIntyre's Hell in a Cell match simply because he wanted to stand on the arena, entrance ramp and have the credit go to him. At that point in time where he said that he needed help to push tickets, they had only been set up, I say only, but they were set up for 32,119 tickets. And at that point in time, they had already sold 29,836 tickets. They had a little over 2,300 tickets left to sell. Now, when The Rock was announced, they sold through the last 2,300 tickets, but they might have done that anyways by adding something else to the card. It wasn't like he moved 40,000 tickets. He moved tickets at the end when they opened up more seats. Like I said, they had 29,836 already distributed. So sales surged by 2,292, attributed to The Rock's confirmation that he will appear at the event. So they didn't need help with tickets. They might have needed a big angle to set up WrestleMania, but they could have done a lot of things. The angle was just John Cena winning and telling us that he's going to face Cody Rhodes. That was the angle. That's all we needed. The heel turn, had they ended WrestleMania 41 that night with the heel turn, with the feeling that we had at the Chamber when everybody left and walked away and said, oh my God, I cannot believe that happened. Like, we all believe in Joe Hendry. We could not believe that Cena, after all this time, 20 plus years of him being dedicated to this character, turns. It was unfathomable, unbelievable. It felt impossible. All the times that he could have turned in the past for no reason whatsoever, he refused. Now we finally get it.
I got to him, right?
Right.
Thought.
So The Rock's the one that makes him turn, yet The Rock is no longer a factor in the story.
Like, it makes no sense. You're not a factor in someone that would never turn heel, would never go against his morals, but you finally convinced him somehow that no one else has before. And then...
Absolutely, because this was already a plan. Triple H had already said to John Cena, let's turn you heel. And when The Rock came in to ask or declare that he wanted Cody to turn heel, every single person, Nick Khan, Cody Rhodes, like John Cena, and
last-minute decision.
Triple H, they all refused, saying, no, it's not the time. And The Rock, either mad that he didn't get his match, main event, whatever you want to call it, last year with Roman, or he didn't get his way with Cody turning this year, tried to sabotage WrestleMania's main event. I feel that The Rock is, in fact, guilty. As we mentioned, he took away the main event. We had those two. Took away the main event from Bad Blood.
Because he doesn't understand how good of business that could be. The Rock and John Cena as a heel alliance.
I think he does know. I think it was just his ego not getting the outcome that he desired. So he went and essentially, in his own way, went scorched earth. But he did it in such a political manner where, well, now I'm just not showing up. He didn't him being part owner on the board, whatever you want to call it, not advertising WrestleMania at all.
Because he knows that he has stroke and can do what he wants, but he also knows at the same time he can't tell Cena what to do.
Absolutely. And, Cena had already agreed to turn heel. So now like I said...
I think that was already planned because The Rock made this heel turn of Cena sound like last minute at the Chamber.
Yes.
Because they said...
Triple H had already talked to John. He talked to John long ago to set this up.
Like Royal Rumble, you could... I was even telling you before the Elimination Chamber, I think that I called the Cena heel turn. Yeah. Remember, I even said to you right after the Royal Rumble, have that press conference sounded, call me crazy, but I think Cena's going heel.
You did say that. Yeah, you did. You predicted it. And I said, oh, that would be crazy. But I didn't actually believe it would happen. I said, maybe they're just setting up some seeds of doubt for John, to be Mania time, and he's not sure if he could do it again, something like that. But I truly did not believe that he would legitimately turn. So now, like I said, we had The Rock take away the Bad Blood main event. Now he messes up the ending to Elimination Chamber and brings the focus onto himself instead of the story being John and Cody. So the entire time, people want to know, when is The Rock coming back? All the promos and face-offs that John and Cody had, every single time it ended with people asking, where is The Rock? Why is The Rock not here? Not, oh my God, I can't believe what John and Cody said. Not, oh my God, did you see their battle of words on the microphone? It was incredible. Instead, the fans continually asked, where is The Rock? How is he involved in this? And when is he coming? And especially giving us Travis Scott, knowing that he was the entrance of, leading to the entrance of The Rock afterwards. Everyone in that arena was expecting and awaiting The Rock. Now, Steven Richards went ahead and he says on the Night 2 main event, he's like, this is just good old-fashioned hardcore gaslighting of the fans, which I don't disagree with at all. He said, this is what we're going to do all along. We knew we were going to do this. And that's in quotes. Obviously that's not the case. He said, if we sounded confused, join us, because everybody's confused. This is a Hulk Hogan type situation, and I mean this in the most respectful way. It's a Vince McMahon thing too. Surrounding yourself in your inner circle by yes men, yes people, ass kissers, entourage, all that stuff. You can never do anything wrong. That's what it feels like. And he's absolutely right. Who's going to tell The Rock no? Most people cannot even, like I said, have the power to do so. So anyone else at the top, it feels like truly a headbutt moment. Some people have even speculated, is The Rock trying to take, Triple H out of booking and make him look or appear as he did such a bad job that The Rock had to come in and save it? We don't know, but Stevie continues here. He says, the anchor of this is the title. Cena is willing to sell his soul. Basically, he wanted the 17th title, and he was willing to sell his soul to The Rock, meaning The Rock is the anchor of this entire storyline, with the title, with the soul, with Cody. Alternative theories. Do you think you give Triple H credit for the Cena heel turn in case it goes wrong? I mean, that's really what it came down to. And sadly, the more we look back and see, The Rock, especially on that NXT episode, wasted everyone's time. He never knew what he was doing. He never really had a plan. He may have had ideas, he may have had thoughts, he may have had wants, but nothing was secure or executed in a way that it was putting the fans' enjoyment first. This was always about The Rock, his ego, and satisfying him. Even Bubba Ray Dudley goes ahead and he's like, I stuck up for all of these guys. I told Busted Open Nation the way they connected the doors, they've earned my benefit of the doubt to sit back and enjoy what they're doing. Which is right. We all said, let's sit back, let's wait. The Rock said he's taking us on a ride. He's got this plan. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, right?
Because You have to, right? Because Triple H is amazing. You know what he did with NXT. John Cena is a great storyteller. Cody Rhodes is a great storyteller. The Rock, when he wants to be, amazing storyteller. So
Yeah, very
nothing could go
entertaining.
wrong, you think,
So we all thought, and that's what Bully says here. He says,
with the four of them running it.
yeah,
So,
now with everything that's going down in front of my eyes, they had no clue what the fuck they were doing this whole time. Oh, maybe one day we'll come back to the soul. That's what The Rock keeps saying. He said it on Pat's show. No, don't go back to the soul. You already stooged it off, and that wasn't going to happen. So let's forget about Cody's soul. As a matter of fact, unless I'm going to get Cody versus The Rock one day, I don't think I need to see it. I don't need to see it, and I sure as hell don't need to see Roman and The Rock, because Rock already put the Ulafala around his head. So they already went ahead and said that many people in WWE were confused by The Rock's decision to not help promote WrestleMania 41. But then he went on Pat McAfee's show to talk about how he would have booked the main event differently. So he chose...
infuriating interview. And
right.
You know, Pat McAfee couldn't say anything. He wasn't trying, because that's technically his boss. So
yeah, Pat was not ruffling feathers. He threw a lot of softballs. He did try to question him a little bit and turn up the heat, but he couldn't do much. And people calling Pat a bitch. Pat was in a no-win scenario there. If he berates The Rock, yes, he either risks losing his job to keep the fans happy, or he pisses off the fans but keeps his job. There was no good line of attack for Pat McAfee in that.
He has to make his money.
Exactly. So there was always confusion about The Rock's claim that everything he says is a work. He says everything's a work, even though he made it clear during Pat's interview that he was not in character. So how is it all a work if he's not in character? Even the WWE talent were very conflicted and upset. They were happy to see him when he shows up, but now everybody is continually worried that the card is at The Rock's mercy. For whatever it's worth, people backstage haven't noticed any problems or tension between The Rock and Triple H, but they did say that even with WrestleTix and WrestleVotes, they claimed that, you know, hey, they weren't having problem moving tickets. That seems to be false. They were damn near close to sold out.
And I think
The Rock moved the last bit of the tickets, but not all of them.
Because for the majority, WWE fans are in favor of Triple H being head of creative. So I think The Rock knows he can't get Triple H fired, really.
Yeah, so exactly. And sadly,
so that's why if I don't get my way, I'm leaving.
And that's how it felt continually. I'm going to get my way, or I'm going to blow up your show. The Rock, I don't know if he did it out of spite.
He wants to build Cody Rhodes up in his vision.
Absolutely. And like I keep saying, I don't know if it's out of spite or ego, but
he's over on Cody Rhodes, but he wants it to be in his vision and how he sees it.
Exactly. It had to be The Rock's vision.
He wants Cody, I think, because it's The Rock's company, kind of, I guess. So he wants Cody Rhodes to be the star of his company, but not in Triple H's vision, The Rock's vision. Same kind of stuff Vince had.
Yeah. And the only thing that I will say with Vince, though, Vince never, ever, ever booked something that he wasn't going to give you. That was a rule of his. If you book a match and it's not going to happen, you better watch out. That is what Vince hated.
Anniversary episode, because I think Triple H and Vince were kind of both booking the show at that time. If in 2023,
it was kind of still a combined effort.
Because Roman was supposed to have a an acknowledgement ceremony, right? Like every bloodline member in history will be there. And
yes,
Vince, I think I told Triple H, we can't have that. Is The Rock going to be there? Because that's what people are thinking.
Yeah.
So Vince probably was like, change that.
And so rightfully so.
To the tribal court.
Yes.
Right? The trial of Sami Zayn.
Yeah, which was good. But like you said, they were going to have Afa, Sika, everyone there that they could to make them all acknowledge.
Every bloodline member. So, and Rock's part of the bloodline. So.
Exactly. And then they also showed the bloodline family lineage at the press conference. So it even helped hammer it home more. So when this came to be, you're like, oh no, you know, we know The Rock's in there. We don't want him to go ahead and not be there. How could he not be there? That doesn't make sense if you're having every bloodline member. And sadly, this happened again and again with The Rock, where he just came in, changed things on the fly, had things rewritten. We heard about SmackDown being changed last minute. They went overtime. Other people's matches get cut entirely. it's unfortunate. And, we saw the position of the Elimination Chamber get moved around as well. And what's the worst of it all is that The Rock didn't need to get involved. His involvement did not make any of this better. It didn't make it star-studded. It didn't make it more entertaining. It didn't make it must-see. It only muddied it all. It made it confusing. It made it hard to explain. It made it hard to get involved with. And it made it difficult to be patient when you got nothing for weeks on end in return.
Yep.
It's not always quid pro quo. It's not always something for something, but a lot of times the fans need something to hook their teeth into. Once you give us that reason to tune in, you got us. Look, no one cared about Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, but once we saw them actually dislike each other and it felt real, oh my God, everybody has to see that match. Can they coexist? Can they actually do business with each other, or is it going to be a total disaster? They got people in. The Rock and Cena had that in spades. Cody and Cena had it in spades. They did not need The Rock to throw his weight around. I'm the boulder and here I am. Well, we didn't need the boulder. We needed the pebble. And unfortunately, I'm still of the mindset that it has to be intentional with The Rock, and it had to come from a place of malice, because he did not even send a single tweet at any point in time saying, here comes WrestleMania, get ready for a great show. Nothing. The biggest show of the year for the company that you sit on the board of, and you do nothing. How could it not be personal? How could it not be his ego running wild? It's just the whole, yes, he's very charismatic, and but is there really intrigue to see him wrestle at this point? I don't think so. I like The Rock on promos, and he's entertaining with a mic in his hand.
I mean, they give him his kudos. He looked great in that tag team match.
He did. He looked very good. But a one-on-one match, or like him and Cody one-on-one, even at this point, is not the intrigue for me. It's not where it's at. It feels like it sailed us by.
If it was going to happen.
Yeah.
But,
the clock is just ticking. And now we see The Rock, and he puts out cryptic things. And, you see that, he and Vince both have the same T-Rex skull. And he's got it in the background of his videos, Stan, the T-Rex skull. So is he saying that he's Vince now? And you have fans looking into every little moment, clue, Easter egg.
This is one thing people might be right on. People hated Vince, but there could be a reason why things don't go this way in WWE when he was around, because he wouldn't advertise, like we said before, something that he knew wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Like and this is why maybe, I'm not advocating to bring him back, but this is why WWE might not ever be as good
it
as it was when Vince had it, because I think he knows his company more than anyone else.
It seems like The Rock is angry, holding a grudge, because a lot of what he said on Pat's show really circled around Cody turning heel in the future. He said, if done right, and I think finessed right, and if nuanced right, down the road, that guy, talking about Cody, not only has an incredible run again as a babyface champion, but also as an unheard of run as a heel. And we all have said for ages now, never mind The Rock, The Rock's late to this party, that Cody would make a wonderful heel. He did it when he first got fired from WWE and went on to the independents. He was a bastard, trying to prove his name while taking down others. And then we saw him develop and mold into this babyface that the AEW fan base rejected. But it worked in the sports entertainment landscape of WWE. Cody is more over than any other star, and that's for a very justified reason. He gives us it all. And now you see, The Rock was just dissatisfied with being told no. He got told no, that Cody cannot turn now. It isn't good. It's not best for business. He criticized the RKO out of nowhere. He likes that it's going to be Orton, but he would have finessed things differently. Well, if you had all these ideas and you had all these plans and thoughts, why didn't you go to anybody, Nick Khan, Triple H, Ari, and say these things then? Why go on Pat's show and ramble it off?
And if you had respect for the head of creative, you really just go to Triple H more than anyone else.
Absolutely. So like I said before, there's multiple strikes against The Rock here. And as time went on, you really saw him pull his muscle to get what he wanted.
It's 99% The Rock's fault and maybe 100. Am I being nice by saying 99% The Rock's fault?
Maybe. I mean, we don't know really how much it stems back with backstage politics, but from what we can tell, and it seems like, hey, The Rock went above Triple H. He went over his head to go ahead and try to make WrestleMania in his image. It didn't work. He got, taken back a few pegs and knocked down a step and didn't get what he wanted. So he went and ran away like a crybaby, calling Cody the crybaby when he was the one that disappeared while bitching. So he ghosted WWE and then shows up afterwards to basically say, I could have done it better. That's what you want? That guy? You want this guy to push your company?
That's why we fucking needed you there.
That's why we wanted you there, Rock. Exactly.
And his ego got the best of him because they don't understand. Maybe he does, but
there's 100 ways to book it too. Like you said, with fantasy bookings, there's so many things.
The build of WrestleMania, Cena, Rock as this mega Hollywood alliance together.
Could have been great. And there's so many things that could have been great. And that was the problem, because the way The Rock did what he did, it basically it handcuffed creative. It put them in such a corner that, hey, everyone's focused on this soul thing. So they had to pivot, and they pivoted so hard to John going into the you people to avoid bringing up and mentioning The Rock at all. So we really couldn't even discuss John's reasons for turning heel and as to why.
Point in a way, he wants Cody Rhodes to be a heel, because I've said before, Cody Rhodes, I think, would make a fantastic heel.
Certainly.
But not the time.
No. Now is not the time, not the place, and there's a lot of story left to tell. And even if it is someone else down the line that has to go and take the crown away from John to send him packing, someone like Punk would be great.
I think this would have been a lot better if The Rock was there throughout Cena's whole retirement tour.
If The Rock wasn't going to be at Mania, he should have at least been on one episode of Raw or SmackDown on the build to Mania to get things wrapped with a neat little bow and explained.
Hype up his champion, his corporate stooge that he had.
John turned knowing that I'm on the board and I can give him what he wants. That's it. Let's make it easy. He sold his soul to me because he knows I'm in power and can make things happen.
And Cena already is good with there. You can lean real life into storytelling. Cena's already got a lot of, he can stroke a lot of people's minds and say, I want it this way, and he has it. So now The Rock and Cena doing it together, who's going to tell them no? Exactly.
Anything's possible. And sadly, I'm not sure of what we get going, from here.
Opportunity, because Cena and Rock as an alliance together is way bigger than Cody Rhodes and Rock as an alliance together. And that's just facts.
Absolutely. And, like we said, we could have had a lot of things here that worked out, but there's so...
Then you can put two storylines into one. You could have had Roman, Punk, Cody, all feud against this Hollywood, these mega powers like Cena, Rock, Braun, Seth, Heyman. This could have been a lot better. But.
Yeah, a lot better. And there's just a ton left to be desired. I'm hopeful for what we get with the future. Triple H hasn't ruined everything like some people seem to think. And, that's not the case. And I hope that the booking continues to be elevated, that we get great matches and great stories that really engross us fans. I also hope that another story for another time for you and I to discuss with ticket prices and how they're just pricing out their loyal fans, and it's going to hurt them drastically sooner than later. But as far as I go, if I had to pass judgment, I would say The Rock is guilty. Honestly, what do you agree, Cody?
I would say The Rock is guilty.
Absolutely. So Big guilty time. From both of us. The punishment here, you know what that is. It's death. Cody, tell the people where they can find you and where we'll cut more great videos like this in the future.
You can find me on all 3,272 of my accounts. I'm kidding. That's what some people think anyway, but you know. But you
Hey,
can really find me over on Twitter or X, whatever you like to call it, at Judgment Day Era. Or you can find me over on Instagram at Cody_Onidi_316.
that's right. And you can find me on the YouTube's Jake Countdown Ended DeMarco. You can go ahead and follow me on Rumble as well at Countdown Ended, as well on Instagram, Twitter, and anywhere else podcasts can be found. Also, make sure you're following the Spaz Phoenix podcast on YouTube. I'm a co-host over there on the State of Wrestling, where we talk about all sorts of great stuff like this and many others. I thank you all for tuning in and hanging out with us for a little bit. Comment down below. Let us know what you think of The Rock and his interference with WrestleMania. And I hope you all stay sexy, and we'll see you soon. Take care.